we'll take the tune-up balls out of the little bag. Gonna use them separately here. We've probably done these before together. If we haven't, you're gonna reach around, take your hands to your bum, and I want you to find just the kind of the crest at the top of your bum. Rolling out our glutes is a really nice way to relieve some of the tension in this area, one of the densest or the densest muscle in our body. So you'll take those tune-up balls, slide them around to the top of the crest of the bum on each side. If you've rolled with me before, you know I really only have one rule. Don't roll in the butt crack. Don't do it. It's not comfortable and it's potentially dangerous for your coccyx or the base of your spine. So I'm going to take those into that position, come down onto your back, plant your feet. Lifting our hips up, little bridge pose, slide those tune-up balls underneath, one on each side, and rest down. We're starting towards the top of this muscle, but we will create some movements to distribute where pressure is landing to provide variety to the massage. So don't worry, but also know that you have permission if you don't like where you've landed these balls. The glute max is one of our biggest muscles, so feel free to move them around to different parts of your bum that feel like it's serving you better. Feet can be about hip distance apart, or if it feels better, walk your feet wider, let your knees knock inwards, or take them wider and let knees point up to the ceiling. Play around with the placement. Some folks like to lengthen their legs all the way out long in this. So try one, try the other, and find what feels good for you. What serves your body doesn't have to be what works in my body. Maybe you start to introduce a little side-to-side wiggle of the hips. But if you're finding any movement, keep it small, an inch or two to the left and right, and keep your breath moving. And then coming back to center, pausing. Deep, full breath in. Exhale, let your hips get really heavy. Relax your inner thighs. Now that your body's a bit more accustomed to this pressure, you get heavier through your hips. Let your shoulders find ease so they're not creeping up towards the ears. Let your lower jaw soften. Option here to add a little pelvic tilt. We'll inhale, curl your hips away from your ribs, lower back arches. You're rolling the tune-up ball down, lower on your glutes. And then exhale, curl the hips towards the ribs. Tailbone lifts slightly, low back presses towards the mat. We're rolling a little higher. But notice if you're squeezing your glutes. Can you relax your bum? And just let this pelvic tilt move the tune-up balls up and down. Inhale, hips curl away from ribs. Exhale, hips curl towards ribs. Inhale, pelvis rocks forward, tailbone tilts down. Exhale, pelvis rocks back, tailbone points up. Relax the glutes. Inhale, we roll down on the tune-up balls. Exhale, we roll up on the tune-up balls. Try to keep the hamstrings and the glutes soft. Move a few more times through those with your breath if that feels good. When you're ready, coming back to center, relax, get heavier. An option here, I'm going to show a few options. Option one, you might just lift your left heel and set it down on the mat. Lift your left heel and set it down on the mat. If that's feeling okay, you might float your left foot completely off the mat. Knee starts to tuck towards the belly. But you decide if that feels like a little too much, you could just float that left foot and set it down, float it up an inch and set it down. If it feels better to explore that full range of motion, knee tucking in and then releasing down to the floor, do that. We're staying on the left side for now, finding just a little bit of movement. Maybe it's just the heel, maybe your foot's floating a centimeter off the mat and coming back down. When we float the foot, we decrease the number of contact points with our body and the earth, meaning there's going to be more pressure on that tune-up ball on that left side. Keep breathing. If you are lifting and lowering the foot, slow it down, like 50% slower. Relaxing, jaw, breath is full. Might even take a big sigh in and let it go. And then we'll switch to the other leg. Start just with that heel floating. Toes on the ground, right heel lifts. And drop it down. Right heel lifts. And drop it down. You might stay right here. Or maybe you float that foot just a centimeter off the mat and set it down. Float just a centimeter and set it down. My foot is going up the world's biggest centimeter. If you'd like a little more, hug the knee into the chest and then plant it down. You don't have to move your hands at all, just drawing the knee a little closer to the belly and setting it down. Normal to experience a little bit of different sensation side to side. I'm sure I say this all the time, but we don't carry tightness, strength in our muscles symmetrically. It depends on your postural habits, your daily activities, what leg is your dominant leg. So different movements might serve you better one side to the other. Can you go a little slower in this lift and lower? Oh, that rhymed. Can you relax your face? Keep breathing. And then option here, you might start to march your feet out. So left foot lifts and then right foot lifts. Keep it slow and intentional. More sensation faster with this kind of work, with this self-massage, is not better. And if you want to get really wild, if this is feeling so good to you and you want just a little bit more, you might float both feet at once. But if you try it and you're like, oh no, put your feet back down. If you are floating both feet at once, you might gently let the knees sway a little to the left, a little to the right. You can do the same thing with the feet planted. Knees sway a little to the left, a little to the right. Just two different levels of intensity. So much of myofascial release is about determining what serves us best. Some folks crave that intensity with this exercise and their body says like, oh, this is really what I need. Other folks, it's like your body's like, I'm not really interested in that. We learn to listen to that intuitive information. Let's take one more big breath in here. Big sigh out. Press into your feet, lift your hips up and away from the tune-up balls, slide them aside. Let your bum come back down to the earth. Woo. How does it feel? That was a lot on our glutes. So you might feel, I had a teacher call it flat tire-itis. Your butt might feel a little flatter to the mat or a little puffier because we've increased hydration to the layers of fascial tissue and muscle tissue. Can you let your knees sway a little side to side? You let the shoulders be easeful. Relax across your forehead and in your jaw. Close your eyes and just notice as your knees sway, that sway might get a little bit bigger, rolling over, knees point to the right. Up through center, roll over, knees fall to the left. You might notice that one side feels a little different from the other. That's okay. We're going to take a really gentle glute med and min roll to close out our practice. I want you to take your hands to the sides of your bum and tuck your tune-up balls there like you were coming into cobbler's pose or Baddha Konasana. Instead of tucking our fists under the sides like I sometimes cue you to do, we'll take our balls, setting them towards the side of your bum and letting your feet come together, knees knock out in that cobbler's pose. You can play around, move them up a little bit higher, closer to the hip bone, or you can move them a little bit lower, more into the flesh of the glute max. That's okay too. Oh, Harvey's sticking his paw out and I just want to high five it, but he hates it when I do that. I want you to notice if the pressure feels even side to side. In my body, I feel like I'm feeling it a ton on the left and not so much on the right. I'm going to move the tune-up ball around on the right a little bit higher, a little bit lower, and see if I can get a sensation that feels not necessarily symmetrical, but equally weighted. Can you curl your hips slightly towards your ribs? Take a deep breath in. And exhale, press the sides of your bum down into the prop. Feel that connection. Squeeze your glutes. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the bum. It should feel like it's tightening up, resisting the tune-up ball. And then exhale, relax into it. We'll do a few more of those, just like when we bunched our hands into fists. Maybe you even make your hands into fists here. Deep breath in. Exhale, deep breath in, squeeze your hands, tighten your bum, clench your jaw a little bit. And exhale, let it all go. Relax into the prop. 2 more. Deep breath in, squeeze your hands, squeeze your bum. Exhale, relax it. This is a weird one, but it's kind of fun to be weird sometimes. 1 more time. Squeeze the bum, squeeze the hands. And relax. Right now, the soles of my feet are touching in cobbler's pose. I'm going to offer another way to move here. You might start to lengthen, so keep your hips, your thighs relatively close to where they are, and start to slide your shins down your mat. So you're coming into a sort of Shavasana variation, feet pointing out to the edges of your mat, legs are out a little wider. Again, you can always reach down and adjust the position of those tune-up balls, tuck them slightly back underneath you if they're rolling out from under you. And I want you just to relax here. Looking for a little bit of ease. Legs out long here. You might start to sway your feet. So toes point up to the sky, over to the left, up through the sky, over to the right. And let your hips get a little bit involved with this. As you point left toes to the left, feel the left side of your bum pressing into the ball. As you take right foot through center and over to the right, feel that side pressing down. If that feels good, keep working with it. Just swaying the feet, the knee ever so slightly. This rotation is happening at our hip joint. So you can picture that bone of your femur rotating in the hip socket to move the whole leg with it. Notice if you're holding your breath, or if your glutes or pelvic floor or core has tightened. Can you relax through the belly, through the glutes? I'm going to offer one last way to move here. Let's focus on the left leg first. Can you point the left toe slightly out to the side, to the left? And then option, press your heel away from you. Feel that leg get strong. Maybe you float the foot off the floor just an inch. So your whole leg is lifting in external rotation. So your knee or your toes are pointing out to the left. And then relax it down. Let's do that 2 more times. Lift the foot and relax it down. This is the contract and relax stretch. Again, we're contracting muscle, lifting to contract. Exhale, let it down. Just soften. Focus on the left hip. Press the left hip down into the prop for 3, 2, and 1. We'll shift our focus to the right leg. Right toes point out to the side. Push the heel away from you. Get as long as you can through that right leg. Flex that foot. Deep breath in. Exhale, float the foot away from the ground. Remember, this is totally optional. Relax that foot down. Exhale, float it up. Relax it down. 1 more time. Exhale, float it up. Relax it down. You might take right hand to right hip. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, press the right hip into the prop for 3. Soften the jaw, soften the shoulders, 2. And 1. Rolling toes back up to the sky. You can wiggle those tune-up balls out from underneath you. And come down to this lying on our back position. Noticing how it feels. The glutes feel any different in their relationship to your mat. Option again to plant your feet. And this time we'll hold in our supine twist. Let your knees fall over to the left. Feel that left side of your bum. That's where our glute med and min sit. From the base of your hip bone down the side. really small muscles, little fan-shaped muscles that sit under the glute max. Take a deep breath into the right side of your rib cage. Side out. Exhale over to the left. Up through center. Deep full breath in. Let it go. So thanks for rolling out your glutes with me, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.